Hey there, I am Marina Orms, and we are here today to continue our theme of the sun sign and the signs of the zodiac and how they indicate a healing path and what that can look like for people with the different zodiac signs. So if you are just tuning in now, you may want to go back and watch some of the previous videos I've done on this theme, starting with part 1, looking at the fire signs, action and courage, and part 2, looking at the earth signs, what's the practical and tangible approaches, and then part 3, the air signs, and looking at logic and communication. Today, we're focused on the water signs. And so we're looking at folks who have a natural attunement to energy. These are people with a sun sign that's a water sign. So Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces, and how that sign is tuned in with energy. So for water signs, we're looking at the emotion part of mind, body, spirit, and emotion. So body is earth, and the earth signs body. The earth signs relate to body and the physical world. The air signs relate to the mental component of our wellness and well-being, and that is the way we think about things, the way we process information, our mental health, our mental well-being, and communication. And then the fire signs are action and movement, and that's going to be the spirit part of the mind, body, spirit, emotion. And so fire signs are about spirit and how we move and the need to have agency and take action and experience things by taking risks, by acting on them in order to learn and grow. And so what do the water signs need to learn and grow? They actually need the experience of feeling things, of moving emotion, of having a sense of sacredness around the emotional process, an honoring of the emotional process, an honoring of the way that we heal when we let ourselves get mushy and feel things and move energy. So we're looking at the water signs because these are the ones that take us truly into our inner selves and our inner experiences and the ways that we feel and perceive energy. So let's take a look here at what the water signs are and what they are learning. Again, the water signs are Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. And for a Cancer sun sign, so again, here we're talking about sun signs. This would, of course, apply also to moon signs and different planets. These are more focused on the sign itself, but for a sun sign, it's how that person shows up. It's their sense of identity, their sense of self, how they do things and move in the world. And so for water signs, there's a need for and a focus on nurturing energy. So water sign, sun sign is going to respond to your vibe. They are truly going to respond to how present you are, whether you're being kind, whether you're being mean, or whether you're distracted, whether you're really somewhere else, or whether you're really there as a supportive presence. They are going to respond deeply to that in their healing process. And so when we are looking at the lower possibilities for the Cancer zodiac sign, there's a feeling here of sensitivity, truly being sensitive, emotionally sensitive, easily overwhelmed. They're feeling everything. There's an imbalance in terms of caretaking, because Cancer is the sign of the mother. It's the sign of nurturing. And so they can be overly caretaking, or not enough caretaking present. They can be either, now Cancer is the crab, so that the sense of the claws coming out, or the hard shell that a crab can have. So there can be a sense of too much boundary, right? I'm just going to snap my claws at you and make you go away. Too much boundary. There can also be too little boundary. There can be too much of a sense of vulnerability or ineffectiveness, and being defensive, hiding, fearful, kind of feeling overwhelmed by one's emotions are some of the lower possibilities for how this Cancer energy can show up. Now, what is beneficial to a Cancer zodiac sign, how they can step into their own highest potential, is to recognize the power of those feelings, to recognize that emotions are a potent way of healing, and to experience validation for that. So as nurses, as caregivers, as holistic healing practitioners, we can validate the experience of having feelings, and that's an important part of the healing process. We can validate and acknowledge and provide situations that provide nurturing, that make the person feel cared for, that allow space for processing, for feeling things, showing up again with a presence that is kind, that is compassionate, that acknowledges the power of intuition, the power of our ability to feel and sense different energies. And you might just be, feeling a lot, and that could be a lot to manage and to handle. And just so recognizing that, validating that, recognizing that being sensitive can be very healthy, right? When we're sensitive, it means we're attuned. It means we're able to tune in and notice what's going on deeper levels, on energetic levels. And so for Cancer sun people, Cancer zodiac, having needs met, especially needs that are not traditionally thought of as valid. So emotional needs, needs for patience, needs for sensitivity, caring, compassion, needs to be held and recognized in their own process, which may not fit in our normal expectations. It may not look the way we think it should look, but for a Cancer sun person, or with the Cancer zodiac, that person is doing a lot of work, but they need it recognized that work that they're doing is emotional, and is dealing with energy, and working with energy, and processing energy, and seeing how they can step more fully into their own capacity to care for themselves, and to be, through the process of being a caregiver, can be giving and offering that sense of nurturing to others, which can also bring a feeling of fulfillment and be its own reward. So being a nurturing, stepping into that higher possibility of nurturing for a Cancer sun person is really powerful. Having space to be an effective and powerful nurturer, having the space to be a powerful and effective person who is tuned in with their own needs and what they need, and how to meet those needs, and validating that even when it is not fitting into the normal checklist that we might look at in terms of where we should be in our healing process, etc. Okay, and then we have the sign of Scorpio, which is the fixed water sign, and the lower possibilities for Scorpio. So Scorpio is a sign that is also a water sign, so it's also feeling based, and based on energy and mood and vibe. Scorpio is a deeper sign. It's a deeper energy. It's experienced as being very potent and profound and powerful and mysterious. It deals with the mysteries of life, the deeper places of how we transform. Themes of transformation, of birth, of death, can be very something that a Scorpio person is very familiar with, and not being afraid to quote unquote go there in terms of the intensity of what the Scorpio person might be experiencing or feeling or dealing with. So when a Scorpio sun person, Scorpio zodiac sign is under stress, is not living their highest possibilities, is, knocked off kilter or not functioning optimally, they could be in these lower possibilities, which include things like being secretive. I don't want to tell you what's going on because why should I trust you? And or manipulative, feeling ashamed, having some power dynamics that are not super healthy, difficulty trusting, feeling misunderstood. They might come across as uncaring because they're feeling misunderstood. They might be perceived again as being things like wary or coming across as intense. They might be caught up in their own victim story. There's that sense of what trust is, what the betrayal of trust can look like. And then, of course, on the flip side of that, as we heal, as the Scorpio sun sign moves into its highest possibilities, we are building trust. We have that deeper ability to create a trusting relationship, a trusting environment, a support field of trust. And so the sense of the healing process being validated as something sacred, as the Scorpio sun person, Scorpio zodiac sign being validated that must feel really intense. You're feeling things at very deep levels. It is a very transformative process, and the things that a Scorpio type person is healing might look like one thing on the surface, but what's happening at deeper levels for that person is just a whole different myriad of depth and experience than maybe you can comprehend or understand. So just recognizing and respecting and validating that person, might be feeling things at very deep levels, feeling some of that intensity. And, how can I be a partner for you in that? Just really being present to the sacredness of the mystery, to the sacredness of how profound it is, what they're experiencing, and acknowledging that, validating that, recognizing that, creating space for that, honoring the deeper transformative process. Is going to be experienced as very valuable to someone who is in that Scorpio energy and is doing their healing work. And so you can be supportive of that as opposed to, working against it or being, when you understand what's going on, you can understand at deeper levels, okay, this person is a Scorpio. They're feeling things at very deep levels. It's mysterious. And so not being afraid to talk about what's happening, what are you afraid of? What are you going through? And being a presence to listen, even if what they talk about is intense. The Scorpio person, as they do their healing work, is really stepping into this depth of soul connection, this potential for true intimacy and trust, and creating a feeling of power in what we can do when we are there for this transformative process, when we're honoring it and recognizing it and supportive of it. So you, as the nurse, as a caregiver, as the healing practitioner, can support that Scorpio sun or Scorpio energy person to acknowledge and honor this process that they already know how to do. You can't do it for them, but you can acknowledge that, hey, you're going through this thing that I can see on the surface, but there's probably much more to it. And, if you want to talk about that, I can really be here, or at least show respect for your inner process and the mysteries of what is going on. So that's Scorpio. And then our last sign of this whole series, and our last water sign, is Pisces. Pisces is the energy of transcendence. So it's about how we are all one, and we really are not separate. And so the Pisces type person has that it's just part of their being that they feel things that other people feel. And so they're absorbing energies, they're picking up on what's going on around them. If you are stressed, if the environment is stressful, if the environment has unhealthy or unhelpful things going on in it, then that Pisces person is, when they're under stress, when they're not coping very well, is going to have a tendency to not know how to separate themselves from that whatever is unbalanced or unhealthy that might be going on. So they can lose a sense of self, lose touch with, hey, that's you, that's not me. I can, it's harder for them to do that. And so as they're learning, they get better at doing that. And for all of us, as we step into our highest possibilities, we're capable of healing these things completely. But this is where they might be if they're having difficulty and not coping well. So losing a sense of self, losing a sense of self as separate from the energy around you, from the people around you, confusion about boundaries, possibly even going to a confusion about reality, a confusion about what is real, what is safe, what is trustworthy. And so losing oneself in alternate realities, in addiction, also the inability to stay focused in a grounded way. So difficulty with having your feet on the ground, being able to set goals and have discipline to stick to them, the ability to take tangible steps. Those things might be challenging for a Pisces person. So the way that you can support the Pisces person to step into their highest possibilities for Pisces sun or Pisces energy is to recognize that they are they're doing this spiritual work. To recognize that there is a bigger picture of love, of unconditional acceptance, of spiritual connection that is going to support them, but they have to tap into it for themselves. They need to reach that place where they feel the sense of belonging, the connectedness, the ability. Now they have the ability, when they are functioning optimally, to be very compassionate with a loving presence, having just this profound ability to go with the flow, to let go, right? I'm not attached to this happening or that happening. I can be present with what is and acknowledge that that is the way it needs to be, and accepting of that. And so supporting them to recognize that, bringing them back to earth if they need that, right? Like, here's what's real, here's what's tangible, here's what's going to help you. Let's come back to this, and just like kind of repeating and reinforcing that idea that here, within the tangible world, we can find things that are going to be supportive, helpful, nutrition, physical support that can be help with boundaries and help with grounding. But ultimately, the Pisces person, their power is in their ability to feel interconnected. And so recognizing the power of this spiritual approach, this spiritual perspective, this sense of being loving and compassionate, caring, open, having appropriate boundaries so that the work of conveying some of that intuitive and psychic and spiritual energy can be done in a helpful way, in a way that's supportive of the whole, and coming together and working together with the grounded, tangible, physical steps that might need to take place. So trusting and honoring and recognizing that this person is, needs that spiritual connection, needs a sense of spiritual belonging, spiritual support. And so maybe bringing in, something that is supportive to them in terms of their spirituality, which could be religion, but, it could also just as easily be a sense of nature, belonging in a bigger picture of the universe, animals, whatever brings a feeling of love and that sense of belonging and feeling connected. And then also, of course, honoring for a Pisces sun or Pisces zodiac person, honoring that ability to go with the flow. Gosh, you're so good at just letting things be. You're so good at loving and appreciating what is. And that's just a beautiful thing. And it impacts me positively, right? You can validate and affirm that is, if that's true for you, that is your experience. So there you go. Those are the water signs. And now we have completed all 12 zodiac signs with some ideas, maybe, hopefully, that you can work with in terms of how to support that zodiac sign in their healing process and how they might be experiencing things. And I can't emphasize enough that, it's great to know these things, and it's great to remember, what is helpful for us, Cancer or Scorpio or a Pisces, but ultimately, one of the things that this is doing, this whole approach of astrology is doing, is that it is reminding us that that human beings are different, and that the needs that we have as human beings, for different people, might be different than your needs or than the person in the next room. So remembering that this person has their own perspective, their own approach, their own needs, their own process, and valuing and honoring and respecting what that is for them. Ultimately, we're not just our sun sign either. We are more than just our sun sign. There are many parts of our chart. The different parts of our chart may be expressed in a more easy way. In some cases, they might be more challenging for a person to express, and all that depends on different ways that the chart is set up and how the different parts of it interact with each other. So there's a lot more to it, but knowing that this is there kind of as a basic thing, and having that bigger picture sense of what's going on might be helpful to you as you provide support for another person's healing process, which is such a profound honor to be able to do, and a gift, and having that sense of humility to be of service to another person in their healing process is huge. So I encourage you to look at this as something that can open your eyes and your mind and your heart, rather than feeling like it's something you have to know or remember, and work with it that way, and continue to have an open mind as you come back to these videos and review them again, to remind yourself and learn at deeper levels how this works, and to begin, and continue to integrate it into who you are and how you approach the healing process in your work and in your life. All right. Thank you so much for being here. This is Astrology for Nurses, which is a playlist on my YouTube channel. I am Marina Orms. My business is Astrology Heals. You can learn more about me at astrologyheals.com. I have been a nurse in the past. I've been a holistic healer for many, many years, and I just love how astrology can help us understand more of our internal experience as we go through the healing process. So I'll be back with more about how you can use astrology in your practice and use it to inform your own understanding about life and the healing process and this beautiful experiment that we are learning about what it means to be human. So thanks for being here, and I'll see you next time. If you want to get more of these videos, hit the subscribe button. And I've got, in addition to this playlist, of course, there's I have daily astro vibe videos and so much more. So check it out. Thanks for being here. I'll see you next time.